Greetings, sports fans, ASMR Sports. Back with another video. Hey, actually have a fair bit of like Pokemon content queued up, but I feel like I don't want to do those consecutively. Otherwise, people will think this is a Pokemon channel, which, you know, we probably will be doing some Pokemon content, but it's primarily, you know, non-Pokemon stuff, so I'm trying to come up with some other stuff. So today we have a more non-Pokemon video, although there is going to be an appearance of Pokemon, because today is a mail day video. I've gotten a number of things in the mail in the past several days, some of which I've opened, some of which have not been opened, and I look forward to sharing all these items with you and telling you a bit about what they are and why I bought them. And yeah, with that, here we go. So I've got a little envelope here, and I think this is a gotta be pretty careful when I cut this. I think this is a non-sports box from eBay that I ordered like last week, probably sometime. Gotta say, this packaging is pretty weak sauce. Just like a bunch of cardboard wrapped around a thing and then sent in an envelope. If there's damage, I gotta say I might be letting this guy know about it, because you gotta do a little better than that. I mean, this basically can get squished pretty easily, as opposed to being within a box that has lots of 90-degree angles protecting it. So it does look a little squished, but it's hard to know if that was from transit or just the way it was. Poking myself with this freaking knife. Yeah, so it is like, I don't know, a bit squished, which I don't like, but I don't know. We'll take a look inside. Alright, so folks, what this is a very colorful, older, I believe this is 1978, Donruss CB Convoy Code bubblegum stickers, 24 count box. And let's open this sucker up, see what we get in here. Yeah, so there's the Donruss verbiage. And yeah, in here, one thing I'm noticing is that there's a little bit of kind of moisture damage from these gum. Basically, when old packs like this see some moisture from, being, I don't know, in a damp basement or something, then that, gets into the gum gets slimy, starts doing weird things. So, got a little bit of that going on here, which I could certainly live without. Yeah, but it is a complete box. I actually kind of wonder, I feel like if you were to send this in to get wrapped by Baseball Card Exchange, they might not accept it because, if there are damaged packs inside, they don't like to do it. What is a damaged pack? Well, hard to say. The rest of these look fairly solid. There's definitely some kind of wet yuckiness, or formerly wet yuckiness here on like that one. But this is a pretty low-end box, so I'm not sure I really am all that concerned. I think if I wanted to be picky, I would say there's like damage on the packs. wasn't disclosed. Give me a discount or something like that, but I don't know about that. So anyways, you may ask yourself, well, what is this box? Why did you buy it? Well, as you know, if you watch this channel, I'm a pretty huge fan of unopened sports cards. And especially lately, non-sports cards. And, you know, we'll see some other non-sports cards as well in this video, but, you know, it's hard for me to kind of wrap my head around the fact that this box from 1978, you know, sells now. I think this was about $100 plus like maybe a little bit shipping, maybe like $9 shipping. So I think it was about $110 for this box. And I just think that for me, these, you know, kind of older, unopened card boxes from like the 70s, and if you're lucky, maybe get one from the 60s. I think I recently got one from the 60s that I showed on this channel. But, you know, these old unopened boxes from the 70s and before, I think are a heck of a buy at, you know, $100 or $200. Because there just cannot be that many of these around, and they're just such a fun little piece of nostalgia. Now, of course, I never saw anything like this. Well, I was not really old enough to be interested in anything like this in 1978, but, you know, I never saw this particular box before, probably before I bought it. I may have seen it in, like, listings on eBay, but, like, I never saw it, you know, when I was at card shows or whatever. When I was younger, back in the 80s and 90s, I haven't seen it show up like in you know, some of the Facebook groups that I follow that are dedicated to non-sports cards. So, you know, there's not a lot of these around. And if there's ever any kind of demand, because, you know, the number of non-sports cards collectors goes up. You know, you gotta think something like this is gonna have some desirability, just because people like variety and they like to, you know, kind of collect things they don't have, and there's not gonna be many of these around for people to have if they want to collect older, unopened non-sports cards. So, yeah, so I don't know. So I'm starting to, now that, you know, the market certainly has cooled in the last year to 2 years on everything really in the collectible card industry. You know, I'm starting to ask myself, okay, you know, what do I wish I had bought back in 2018 or so, before things really blew up? Because now you kind of have a chance, you know, not to get it at those prices, but to get it at prices that are, you know, half or so of what they were back in 2021, when, you know, the market was kind of flooded with new prospectors, or, you know, kind of like investor types. I put the investors in air quotes because they're really just, you know, like random people who were bored and looking for something to dump money into, and I guess collectible cards was one of those things. So consequently, there's a lot more buyers for everything out there. So all those people have left the market for the most part, and that's why prices are down. I think the collectible card market, both sports card, non-sports card, Pokemon, whatever, you know, I think all of those markets are larger than they were, you know, pre-pandemic, like before 2020. But they're not nearly as large as they were temporarily during the pandemic, when everybody was kind of piling in and trying to buy up everything they could. So the question then becomes, you know, are these markets going to continue to add collectors over time? Is it possible that they may blow up once again? Maybe not in 2 years, maybe not in 5 years, maybe in 10 or 15 years, but will they ever blow up? And I feel like the answer is probably yes. I mean, you know, we could be in nuclear Armageddon in 2 years or 2 months. In which case, you know, what do you need? Anything except for water and food. But I don't know, assuming that doesn't happen, I do think, I don't know, the nostalgia factor of, these non-sports boxes is pretty strong, and I think I don't know. I'm a believer in like unopened cards generally. So, all right, next up, folks. I picked up my second box of Fleer V trading cards. These are from '84, I believe. Yeah, '84. I can't remember what I was doing, but I think I might have just been actually just cruising, eBay listings, as I sometimes want to do in the wee hours of the night, looking for, what's selling in the non-sports unopened card market, and, probably saw this thing and said, hey, let me check price comp, see if that's a decent deal or not. And I don't know that this wasn't really a great deal, but this was something that was, I think the cheapest one of like 4 of these that were listed on eBay. I think I got this for like $130 plus shipping, something like that. So about $140 I think I paid for this. And it's funny, I asked myself when I got this, I wonder what I paid for the first box that I got of this. So I checked my records, and that was back in 2018 that I bought one of these, and I paid a whopping $50 for it. So, you see there that the market for this kind of stuff certainly has gone up since 2018. In 2020, who knows what this box was selling for? Maybe it was $250. I don't really know, but I was not a buyer then. But I figure let me get some of the items that I really love here in 2024. So there you go. Is that beautiful or what? So this show, I think I actually did a whole video on like V comic books and cards, and I don't know if I have anything else. I would definitely buy toys if I ever saw them, but they're not really anything you see around. But yeah, huge fan of this property. I remember this when this was out when I was a kid. It had there was an original miniseries, and there was like a TV series, and then there was like the final battle. I actually think the 2 miniseries like happened before the TV show. Like the TV show was the last thing to happen, if I'm not mistaken. But any of it, I remember being a kid and watching that and just being enthralled by it and talking about it at the schoolhouse with or the school, not schoolhouse, at school with the kids that I went to school with, and it was so cool. And yeah, I don't know, it's just amazing how interesting it was. And you watch it now, it's just so campy. It's like, because it's it's 80s special effects, but still, I don't know, it's still compelling. It's interesting. I actually purchased I think all of the 2 series and the TV show on Apple TV like 3-4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, and so I can watch that at any time. But anyways, these are in really nice condition. Super happy to add another one of these, even if it's close to 3x the price. This one's actually in really nice shape too. A little something old sticker residue on there. It's not sticky, but it's like a splotch that seems like it's maybe once was sticky. I love this little cast photo too on the front here. You got the bad guys and the good guys posing for like their senior class picture. Oh man, I love these so much. I love this freaking show. They did a remake of this like in the, I think, mid-2000s or so. Maybe late 2000s or maybe early 2000 teens, but I don't know, I can't remember. It had oh man, what's his name? Scott something from this 90s TV show. What the hell is his name? Anyways, you know what I'm talking about if you know what I'm talking about, right? So yeah, they did a kind of remake, but it only lasted 1 season, and I was totally bummed. I would have loved to have watched more of that. So anyways, huge fan of V. That's there's a few boxes that I kind of feel like I could never have enough of, even though I don't really have that many of any of them. One is that V box. Another would be the A Team, and I have like a couple boxes already. One of them is, I think, open, so it's partial. And those are pretty cheap too. Those are like maybe a little over $100. Those are probably the same price as V actually. So I should probably be buying up some of those, because I mean, honestly, who lived through the '80s is not a huge fan of the A Team? Am I right? Another one is the Goonies. Now the Goonies is, I would say, probably of those three, the biggest sort of cultural phenomenon, because it's, Steven Spielberg and some pretty big names. At least at one time they were big names. Josh Brolin is probably the biggest name to come out of that, but Corey Feldman and who else would be, well, like Joey Pantaleone, and was in there, was in Sopranos and many other things. Anyway, so the Goonies. So the Goonies is maybe the most popular franchise of those three. And I think probably the boxes of cards might be the most rare of the three. So you combine those things, and you see why those boxes go for like $500 or $600 like that. So I think I have one partial, and I have two sealed, BBC wrapped boxes of those. But those three boxes, if I ever were to see them, randomly somewhere and they were at market price, I would absolutely snap them up. I don't necessarily scour eBay for them, but maybe I should. Alright folks, I mentioned this in another video or two, but I recently ordered a case of this stuff because I got it at a price that just, was below market, and somewhere where I could sell below market and still, be making a profit. So if I ever see anything like that, that's any, kind of vintage wax, like I'm going to be pretty interested. And this one guy bought these from, who I've been doing a number of deals with, is always, super reasonable on everything he sells. I mean, I feel like anything that he has for sale, like if I give him an offer that's, a bit below like current comps, such that I could, still probably sell it for under comps myself and make a little bit of profit, maybe not much, maybe like 5 or 10%, but still, I feel like that's a very safe buy to me, because the odds of things going lower than they are now are relatively low. I mean, they're certainly not impossible, but I feel like they're fairly low right now, and maybe they'll go lower, in which case I'll just continue buying stuff I love, and eventually, there's no question in my mind, this stuff is going to be pretty desirable. But these are boxes of 1986 O-Pee-Chee Baseball, and O-Pee-Chee is the Canadian cousin of Topps. So once upon a time they were their own company, and they basically had a deal with Topps where they would use their designs, they would stick their O-Pee-Chee name on it, they would make their own packaging, and they would distribute them in Canada. So they're kind of like a parallel set of the just, regular Topps, but usually it's a smaller set. Like Topps was, man, I used to have this memorized, but I can't remember how big the Topps set was, like 720, and I think these sets were usually like 500 or 600 cards, so sometimes they would leave them out. So like 85 O-Pee-Chee does not have those USA Baseball cards, so you can't get an O-Pee-Chee McGuire rookie. But, most of the big name stars, or maybe all the big name stars in 86 Topps are in here, and there's a beautiful Don Mattingly on the bottom of this one. There he is right here. And so what's, interesting about these, to me anyways, is that these are from a sealed case. As you can see on the back, this is from a sealed case, so all of these boxes are exactly as they were when they left the factory in terms of the packs that are in there and the condition that they're in. O-Pee-Chee, interestingly, generally, I think in all of their products, they used to have a little strip of tape you can can see under the plastic here, they used to have a strip of tape that closed the box up, and that tape really has not fared well. It's generally dried out and not very sticky anymore, and quite brittle. So there's a kind of a third possibility with O-Pee-Chee boxes as compared to regular Topps boxes, which did not ever have this tape sealing them. So the two if you grade a box, or authenticate it with baseball card exchange, a regular Topps box, you either, it's from a sealed case and you send them an entire case and they make sure it hasn't been opened, and then they mark all your boxes as from a sealed case, or you send them a box, that was not in a case and it's just by itself, and then they just wrap that as a, sealed box, or not a sealed, I forget what they call it, but basically it's, not FASC or from a sealed case, it's just BBCE authenticated, which means, they're vouching that all the packs in there are sealed. They could be from 15 different boxes assembled in that one, but, they wrap it up and then they mark it, and it does not say from a sealed case. Now, those are the two options for regular Topps. For O-Pee-Chee, there's a third option. Because of this tape, you can send them a box that has this tape on it, even if it's not in a case, and they will indicate, tape intact is what they call that on the little label here when they wrap it. So basically, it's the same thing as FASC, more or less. It tends to carry slightly less of a premium. But anyways, that's just a kind of an interesting possibility that, does not exist with regular Topps. And, a lot of times the tape will break right there because it is very brittle. So then, if the tape is visible on there, but it's, it's been broken because it's brittle, or it's coming off like this one, although I think it still stick right there, then they will not wrap it as tape intact. Then it will just be a regular box. So, yeah, with O-Pee-Chee you have kind of a second shot at getting a label that will indicate that the box has not been opened by, human hands after leaving the factory. So, a little bit of trivia there for y'all. Alright, next up I have a box. Where's my box? Here it is. Alright. Try to do this without, bonking the mic 15 times. Yeah, so here's a kind of a medium-sized box. Now, I've actually forgotten what is in this. This is from an order I placed through a listing on Facebook in one of the card groups that I follow. But I can't remember what it is. I don't think it's nothing like high end. I've just been buying some kind of cheaper stuff lately. But always exciting, right? Can't remember. Ah, yes. Okay, this is actually one thing, but I usually like to try to save as much of this bubble wrap as I can. So I might try to sneak these out of here without cutting anything. Bubble wrap is super handy, I find, for my shipping. I like to wrap just about everything I can in bubble wrap, so I like to keep as much of it as I can. Okay. Well, there you have it. So it's basically 2 stacks of these things. And these beauties are 1986 Fleer baseball cards. And boy, wow, it's funny. I actually have some of these, but they're in a like a so basically if you have, I think, like 12 of these, Baseball Card Exchange will like basically wrap the whole thing in cellophane and like authenticate it that way. So I bought one of those kind of bricks of these packs, and it sits on my shelf. Funny, I'll have to look at. I really want to find out what I paid for that, because I wonder sort of how it compares to like, these, which I will tell you what I paid for. I think 13 of them is what I bought, and I paid I think it was $125 shipped, right? So that's a little bit less than $10 a piece, with shipping all in. And I looked at what these were selling for on eBay, and they seem to be going for like 15 to 20, 20, 21, 22 bucks a piece. A lot of times they'll sell in a lot of 2 or 3 or something like that, so sometimes the price will be a little bit less or a little bit more than when selling these individually. And I think that those prices actually were like without shipping, so like they can get quite expensive with shipping. So anyways, it just felt like these were a super cool deal. But the reason why I was saying that I haven't, that the only ones of these I have are, kind of wrapped up in a brick, which was kind of sad to me because I didn't want to open them up. That seems like decreasing the value of them. But I've always wanted to kind of really like look at one of these close up in person, because I have a very kind of prominent and important, I think, memory of these exact packs, because I received one of these on my 10th birthday. I think it was my 10th birthday. It might have been like my 11th or something, because I remember they were like a year or two old when I got them. And, back then, there was definitely a huge premium on these because, it was Jose Canseco time, and he has rookies in here. Trying to think who else. Vince Coleman has rookies in here, but I don't think there's any other, like, great rookies that were in this, but Canseco was, like, huge, actually. I feel like B.J. Surhoff had a rookie in here, too, and his stuff didn't come out until, like, 87 in other sets, so that was kind of a big deal. But in any event, I just remember, so I got this for my birthday, my mom gave it to me, and I was, like, super impressed because, this was really a hot ticket back then, and, when you get cards from your parents back then, it's probably something, that didn't come from a hobby shop, or, just isn't maybe the right thing. Even today, like, people who know I collect cards, who shall go unnamed, but, they buy me things, and it's like, oh dear, you've been taken advantage of by some, some dastardly bastard on eBay selling, like, 91 Fleer packs for that, right? So, getting stuff from non-collecting people has always been a risky gamble. But when I was a kid and I got these for my birthday, I was like, holy crap, that's amazing, because, I would have never, first of all, these, again, because I think it was like maybe a year or so after these came out, and so they were like selling for way more than what they sold for, at MSRP. So I would never have bought something like this. It would have been just way too highbrow for me. This is before, premium cards came out. So, I was buying like probably 87 tops at this time for 35 cents a pack. One of these racks would probably be, I don't know, 10 times as much or something. So I just never would have done it as a kid. So to get one of these was like super special. I remember opening it at my birthday party, and I don't think I got any. I might have gotten like one good star or something, like a Wade Boggs or something. But oh man, it was just so cool. It was just so freaking cool. And I have not opened one of these packs since then. If you believe it or not, I've opened just about everything. Now I've opened individual wax packs of 86 Fleer. I've opened, probably a couple boxes of them, but I've never opened one of these, rack packs. And yes, the wax packs inside are exactly the same as the wax packs you would get in a wax box, but still, I feel like the experience is different. So, let me just get these other ones out and make sure I have 13. So, speaking of 1986 and nostalgia, I don't know if I could get into this thing without a major operation. Yeah, I don't know. Just got in. Okay, sorry for the off-screen action here. So speaking of 1986, one of the reasons I love those O-Pee-Chee boxes is just because I love 86 tops, in general, and this is sort of a variant of it as far as I'm concerned. So I'm always kind of interested in 86 tops. I have a lot of it. I have like 2 wax cases worth of FASC boxes already, and a handful of non-FASC boxes of 86 tops. But I actually recently made a huge purchase of another wax box sealed and a bunch of rack box cases, 3-box cases. So I'll be getting those in, I think, here later this week, maybe. And 86 tops, it's funny because my mom actually bought me 86 tops as well. I remember I got rack packs of that for one of my birthdays, probably back in 86. Yeah, I think that was like the current card back then. And I also bought a bunch on my own, and it was the first time I'd ever first time I ever bought baseball cards. So that's why it's always going to be, one of my favorite sets, and something that I, to think that my humble hands touched brand new factory fresh 86 tops, in the candy aisle of Jack and Jill convenience store in Fargo, North Dakota. And then I could, also have in my hands pristine unopened packs of the same product here in 2024 is is, I don't know, it's just amazing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Alright, so I did get 13. Fantastic. Yeah, and, you know, I would not be opposed to stockpiling that stuff in the future. But we'll see. I've got a lot of stuff I'd love to buy, and a limited amount of money to do so. Alright, next up, folks. This thing's heavy. Heavier than I thought. Do you know what this is? I feel like we should have the theme song of Star Wars playing, you know, that intro where they have the rolling credits. Do you know what this is? Take a look here. This old kind of Tootsie Roll shaped box. Yes, I realize it's a rectangle, not a tube, but it's sort of long and skinny. Well, you probably know what this is if you have any familiarity with Pokemon or I think Magic the Gathering stuff. Well, actually, I think maybe it's Pokemon that comes in stuff in boxes like this. I might be wrong. I haven't been collecting cards for very long. So, this box right here is my first ever sealed case of Pokemon cards. And this is from, wow, does this even say? Oh, interesting. So, wow, that's crazy. Okay, so it's kind of like, you know how Topps on their sealed cases of sports cards, like they don't say what it is. So you gotta make a note unless you want to look it up every time, but usually I just write in the box, Pokemon TCG. So it does say Scarlet and Violet SV here, 04 BST, but that's not what that's not the initials of the product this is. I'll show you what the product is because I wanted to make sure I had one loose box as well, so I ordered 9 of these. There's 8 in the case, and this is an extra one. So this is Paradox Rift from Scarlet and Violet. And I basically bought these for what they sold for through my distributor, like on release day. It was like, I can't remember, I don't know, it was like $90 or something like that. And they charge a bunch of stupid fees, like a credit card fee and a like a handling fee and blah, blah, blah. So it like adds another couple of bucks per box. So I maybe paid, I don't know what, $95, but I feel like these are selling on like the TCG site for a bit over 100. So still cheaper than buying there because then I'd be paying shipping. That would certainly drive the price up. So yeah, in any event, there you have it. I feel like they had Paldean Fates, or yeah, they had. Or maybe they just had the base Scarlet and Violet, but my distributor had one other kind of Pokemon boosters that were readily available. These were actually a little bit cheaper than those. So I think these are more valuable than whatever the other box was, and so they're actually just a much better deal. So I'm not sure I would go and buy those other ones, but yeah. So there you have it. I feel like. Oh, I also have on pre-order with my distributor a case of the boxes of the set that's coming out. Like I think like next month. I can't remember what it's called. I feel like it's Crown something. But in any event, there's a new set coming out next month, and I think there's like 3 a year regular sets, and there's like 2 or 3 other kind of non-regular sets or something like that. I'm still learning here, folks. I'm still learning, but I'll first case here. Nice thing about these Pokemon cases is they seem like you could fit a ton of them on like a shelf because they're so sort of small and they're deep, and you know my shelving is relatively deep, so that depth is no problem. And then I could probably fit like, let's see, 2 on each row, at least, and then probably like, I don't know, 10 across or something, so I could fit maybe like 20 on each shelf, and got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shelves, so I could fit like, you know, a ton of these. Whereas baseball card or sports card cases are kind of all over the place in size, and they're kind of hard to often make, you know, logical Tetris kind of decisions of how they go on the shelf. Well, folks, I think that's all we have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did, because who doesn't love a good mail day? At least when it's your mail. That's what we got. I hope you guys enjoy. That's a kind of a fun little taste, actually, of the sorts of cards I do on the show, which is, you know, sports cards, non-sports cards, and now gaming cards. I gotta tell you, earlier today I've been watching this YouTube channel called Alpha Investments, which is all about basically, you know, investing in collectible card games like Magic primarily. This guy Rudy, who runs that channel, is a huge dealer in Magic, and he's been in it since basically Magic came out, like in '94 or so. And so he's got this like huge inventory, and he often shows pictures of it, which is kind of, you know, sort of mind-boggling how much stuff he has. Yeah, I've been watching that. He does talk about, you know, other games besides Magic, but like I would say 80% of the content on there is Magic the Gathering. So I was like, gosh, maybe I should start buying some Magic stuff, because you know, I think if I watch this guy a lot, he'll probably give me some ideas. So anyway, who knows? Who knows, folks? That's all I need, is another thing to freaking start investing in. Then meanwhile, I spend so much time like watching that content and like finding deals on eBay and other places, and I just have no time to like sell anything, which is kind of a problem. So yeah, I'm gonna be like found dead, buried under a big pile of sealed cases, and you guys are welcome to come grab one for yourself when that happens. So just kidding, that would be sold to pay for my funeral. Alright guys, you have a great one. We'll catch you all next time. See you, bye now.